Podcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this week's Buying, Fixing, and Selling a Distressed Small Business. Maybe you're even going to buy a great business. But today I've got some exciting new information on how to make it easier regardless of which direction you're going. Now, remember, you can ask questions at any time. I can't have us on open microphone because we have so many people on each week. It looks like we're at about 75 people showing up right now. So it's difficult. That would be a cacophony of background noise. So just type in your question. I'll be happy to answer it. If I can't, I'll acknowledge it and get back to you after the show. Okay, today we're going to let's start out with what we're doing here, because we're one of the unusual people in the training business that actually does everything ourselves first, and then we bring it to you and say, okay, this worked or this didn't, and here's what we think you should work on. Now, as you know, at the beginning of this year, I had 5 companies, and I've now whittled that down to 3 because my wife has sold her bookkeeping business, and I'm her only client now. And we sold the walnut tree plantation. So we've got the paperless overnight, the Wonderful Life Home Healthcare, and then Lonesome Cowboy Publishing, and which is a training company. And we keep updating the outline on how we buy, fix, and sell a business, or in some cases we keep the business because we're hoping to have lifetime income. The link on your Customer Hub page is always linked to the most recent outline, and which I change all the time, but if there's anything really big that you should know about, we'll send you a notice, tell you to download it. Now, you may remember from our previous discussions that I have a couple of interns working for me, Melanie and Travis, and they're working on all 3 companies. They work with me every day in the barn, and we give them the crappy work. They're working a little bit. They might work on marketing for one company and collection calls in another, but they're learning how to be in business. They are college graduates, and I hope to hire 2 more before the end of summer. And I just kind of spread them around. They're learning what to do. The big thing they're doing is they're taking this outline, the one that I just told you that you can download. They're taking this outline because it is actually not only a process for buying companies, but fixing those companies and standardizing the operation so that anyone can take it over. Now, this manual, and we're in the process of creating 3 of these. This big 3-ring binder, it can never leave the building because it is the company, but it's our proof that we have a concept. So when we're ready to sell the business, this is what will set the owner, the prospective buyer, down in front of, and they'll be able to go through this and read it as long as they want. They can go through every single page that they want to, but this is going to become my sales pitch book, because if a potential buyer can go through this, what they're going to find out is that everything that we had happen in this business, everything we do, we follow a 3-step process. We do it ourselves. And that means that Melanie or Travis or I or one of our outsourced service providers do the job themselves, but they document how they did it. Now, do it themselves, and we're testing an idea right now to get out 2,000 emails a day that look like a text and that can skip right through the spam filters. And right now we're pulling a 1% response on broadcast emails. And these are the people I don't know. Well, that's absolutely unheard of. A 1% response is generally reserved for when you send out direct mail and you put a first-class stamp on it. But we don't know for sure that it's going to work, and we don't know that it's scalable. So we're doing it ourselves first, but every step of the way, they're documenting how they do it and writing down the exact processes, because we're getting a lot of blocks. Some days Outlook throws a block on us. Some days Google throws a block on us. So we're working with a consultant who I promised if he made this happen, I would buy him a car. I hope he doesn't want a Ferrari. And so the process is getting written down, and then once it is done, once we've actually processed this entire email campaign, then we'll be able to delegate the task. And that means we'll be able to hire somebody in Michigan, send them a PC. That'll cost me $800. Send them a PC loaded up with everything they need, the list, the software, the instructions, the process, and they'll be able to log on and send 2,000 emails a day from Michigan. Maybe I can get 2,000 a day sent out from Florida, 2,000 from Georgia. But this is a gold mine if I can make it work. And so we work on things like this all the time. And I tell every business owner, if you want to start acting like a business owner, you've got to get out of the daily tasks. The daily tasks are what's going to kill you in creating a fun work environment and creating wealth. And the only way to do that is take every single job on your table, single thing you do, and you do it yourself. You document how you did it, and then you delegate it. And occasionally, sometimes my interns will say, well, we delegated it and they screwed it up. I said, that's okay. If they do it 80% as well as you do, it's good enough. Stay calm. You don't have to be perfect, and you don't have to run it 100% to build wealth. Matter of fact, stockbrokers will tell you from the first day, they tell everybody that's in the room in training, you only have to be right 51% of the time to retire rich. But I do get this question, where do you start on documenting? What do you do first? And the thing that we learn is you start with the problems that people bring to you. But they should be problems associated with the external part of your business, and that means problems that are associated with the customer. So if you want to start documenting your business, don't sit down and look at the 100 or 1,000 tasks that happen every week and go, oh my God, this can never get done. Start with the simplest thing, what we call the customer-related problems. So if we have a problem that keeps coming up in dealing with customers, that's what we're going to flowchart and clean up and standardize first. Then we can go back to the internal things. What we like to call it, it's the difference between the rodeo and the ranch. In the rodeo, you've got everything on the outside looking beautiful, clean shirts, pretty horse, well groomed, you've got the clean harness, and you're out there in the show. And that's what people on the outside see. They see the external. And that's what we want to do. We want to put on a great show. They have no idea how down and dirty and rotten some of the internal work is, because there's a lot to get done in the background that is hard to do and is a real task. But they don't need to see all that. And once we clean up the external, and then we can go back to the internal, and we start on those things that cause most of our problems. As you know, 20% of your problems, 20% of the things go wrong cause 80% of your problems. So fix those things. And the rest will take care of themselves, or they'll disappear. Now, one more thing I would like to talk to you about before today's real topic is dashboards. I'm a great big believer in measuring what happens. If I'm going to be the boss, and that means I'm not working in my companies. I own 3 businesses, but I don't want to be involved in the day-to-day operation. I have to remove myself. I'm real big on dashboards, and I use Infusionsoft to track all my customers, my tasking, my activity. Of course, that's all linked to paperless overnight, so that all of our documents are referenced and easily retrievable, either out of the accounting or out of our customer contact. I'm not recommending you buy Infusionsoft. It's quite difficult to use, and you'll end up having to hire somebody like Travis to build the processes. There's a lot of easier softwares out there that are a lot more basic. If you do get to the point where you're generating lots of leads and lots of activity, then give me a call. Maybe we can talk about going into Infusionsoft. But I have this dashboard every day on my screen all the time. I have our QuickBooks dashboard on my screen. Now, I used to look at this every day. I now look at our financials once a week for each of the companies. And the reason I went to once a week is that it just seemed to be driving me into insanity to look at too many details all the time. So on Tuesdays, I'll look at company 1. Wednesdays is the home healthcare company. The reports, the dashboard just came in from the staff over there, and I'll be looking at it in a few minutes after today's call. And then on Thursdays, I can look at the the training company. And the other thing we do here is we do an evaluation every month of each of our 3 companies. I want to, and it's a simple thing. We just run it into a spreadsheet. This is a software that we bought, and it was a couple $100, and I do an evaluation. The reason I do this because this is how Melanie and Travis know if they're doing the right job. They're not getting paid on sales reports. They're just paid low wages. I just pay them 14, 15 bucks an hour, but they're here because they want to learn how to be real business people. They want to learn how to build their own business, and of course my objective someday is to give them or fund them or start them or help them buy into a business. We do the valuation because this is where their real judgment is, shareholder value, and that probably is the thinking like shareholder value is the difference between the CEO who makes $200 million a year and the small business owner making $75,000 a year. The small business owner is worried about how can I get work done today. The CEO who's paid hundreds of millions is thinking how can I move the stock 15% this quarter. And so I know a lot of people complain about short-term thinking, but the truth is those companies that move the stock 15% a quarter keep doing it year after year after year. So that short-term thinking was just something that newspaper writers dreamed up. It's a bunch of crap. I want the CEO in place in my company that can make the company worth more money. And of course, you can do a 1-quarter jump by just not paying for advertising or not making your pension deposits. I mean, that's easy to make your 1-quarter jump, but you can't consistently build shareholder value unless there's really, truly underlying fundamentals that make the company work. And so I really want to know, what's this company worth in the marketplace? What can I realistically think I could sell it for today? And our objective in buying, fixing, and selling businesses is to find those companies that we can go in our due diligence, find a unique, unfair market advantage or wasted overhead and make rapid fixes. And if we can do that, then I've got 2 choices. Choice number 1 is build the business 1 to 5 years later, sell it, and with the idea that I'm going to get paid on capital gains, because that's at a lower tax rate. The second, or I could do a 1031 exchange and not pay any taxes at all, just roll the capital gains into the next business. I mean, can you imagine that if you sell a business for $250,000, $400,000 of capital gains and you roll that up every 2 years and no tax man comes along and grabs it? I mean, this is the greatest tax deferral process I've ever heard of in my life, that you can do a 1031 exchange on a corporation. My God, you could create a tremendous amount of equity doing this. And no one knows it. No one talks about it. It's just like defined benefits pension plans. For every $1 I pay myself, I can put $4 into a pension plan, and currently tax deducted today on a defined benefits because I'm an old guy. So there are a couple of things out there that we never think about or talk to our clients about that we probably should use to get our clients to look at us differently or to approach your own business wealth creation plan differently. Now, if we buy a business and it looks like that product's going to be in demand 25 years from now, then I may keep that business because my objective is to create a lifetime income of $25,000 a month. And I figured that works out $8,000 for housing, $8,000 for living, and $8,000 for taxes and insurance. And so my goal is, if I had $25,000 I knew was going to be intact, pretty much knew that it was going to be intact 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years from now. I don't expect to live longer than that. If I knew it was going to be intact that long, then I would feel very comfortable not working and moving to retirement. Of course, I don't know if that's possible. This is way too much fun. But all that brings us to today's conversation. I've got a brand new tool for you. And this tool is called the Lean Canvas. And I have to tell you something, I'm very embarrassed. The lean canvas is an idea that's been around for 5, 6 years, and I thought I knew everything that was new and hot in business, and I don't know how I missed this. The really big reason I'm upset is that this lean canvas is featured in a book called Running Lean. And I bought this book a few years ago and never read it. And then I went to a meetup group. You know that I attend a lot of meetup groups. I do that because I want to, I'm always looking for my people. My people are hard to find, people that understand business, growing a company, making things happen. I'm looking for people that might want to join the Buy, Fix, and Sell Club like you all are part of. And so I go to meetups, and the meetup was strictly about this lean canvas. Doing some research before I went to the meeting on Tuesday night, I realized that I was missing a tremendous opportunity, or this Monday night, and I've been doing research on this since and actually have implemented it. Now, I'm going to tell you what the lean canvas is. It's simply a very simple form, and you don't even need a form. You can just do this on a big blank sheet of paper, but it gives you the opportunity to take all these questions we have about a startup and lay them out on a piece of paper. And this, not necessarily just a startup. It might be a roll-up, or it might be a new product line, but we have so many questions and so many steps in our outline. Is there any way to put all those the big picture on one sheet of paper so I can stand back and say, I think that we've got an 80% chance of making this work, or a 51% chance. Let's pull the trigger and try it. Now, we've got fears when we buy a business. And the biggest reason that most people do not pull the trigger and buy a business, number one, they've never figured out how to not work. So they're scared to death that they're going to go from 40 hours to 80 hours a week if I own a second company. That's one of the reasons we always start these presentations with examples of what we're doing here, because we don't want you to have to work more. The idea of owning companies means you can work less if that's what you choose to do. At the very least, you can work on things that you find more exciting and fun. I want you to spend more time at the rodeo, a lot less time at the ranch. So remember to do it, document it, and delegate it. And of course, today's conversation will be recorded. And it'll be posted on your Customer Hub page along with the workbook. This is the workbook on this process that I'm about to show you how to do. And I did not write this workbook. I downloaded it from the internet, from the author, and it's a process, detailed instructions on how to do this process. So this will be posted for your download today as well. But let's talk about some of these fears, some of the problems. Number one is we're scared to death that we can't run two companies. But the other ones are, we think there may be hidden cost or problems on the horizon. And you know, of course the answer is yes. We're always going to uncover things that we didn't expect. Hopefully we can eliminate as many of those as possible up front in our due diligence, but there's always going to be something. There's just nothing's ever that easy. The second reason is that we don't think the business is going to run as well as the owner says. The systems really aren't in place. And of course, that shows up in the accounting software. And that's another reason why we always get the backup of the QuickBooks file, because I'm looking for inappropriate allocations of overhead. It's been my belief and my discovery over and over that anywhere from 20% to 50% of the overhead in the average small business cannot directly be traced to profitable revenue. And what that means, they've got an employee that's not making the company any money, a location, a product line, an advertisement that they've been running for years, and they can't actually point to where that is making them any money. Well, if I'm looking through your books and I can't draw a straight line from an expense right to the revenue, the expense is going. And that's why in most small companies, when we go in, if the company's making 10% net profit, it's not unusual to see the company jump to 20% because they spend so much money on things that don't need to be done. And that's just legacy thinking. We get started, we can't stop, and it comes from a lot of our assumptions. And as you know, I don't believe in the sin of the inaccurate assumption. When we bought Aristocare, one of the things that the old owner said is we've got to have this really expensive cherry wood furniture, because when fiduciaries come into our office, if they don't see that we've got this really expensive furniture, they won't take us serious. And well, in the 10 months that I've had Aristocare, not one fiduciary has ever come to the office. So working on folding tables and $99 chairs from Costco seems to work because nobody cares. They're not coming over to the office. And the fiduciaries that direct care for their seniors that they're in charge of are a lot more interested in the fact that you can put quality people in place without the senior calling me at midnight saying, hey, my caregiver's not here and you're my fiduciary, you're responsible for that. That's a call they never want. So they don't give a rat about that desk. They care about a quality worker in place. The old owner made an inaccurate assumption, but that's why they had $300,000 worth of furniture that went to auction. That's why they had 6,000 square feet that went to a plastic surgeon because they made way too many inaccurate assumptions. Now, the other thing that we're worried about when we buy a business, that the people that we're going to absorb may not be the right people for us, or they may be working against us. All I can tell you about that has not been my experience. The people that you bring over when you do an acquisition are so excited to keep their job that they're on your team, and many of them have known the company's been mismanaged for a long time. Remember, we buy mostly distressed companies. They know the company's being run like a clown trying to sit on a football, and they're excited that somebody's coming in here with some common sense that can actually make the operation work because they've got a vested interest in this company and they've watched it decline. They're excited that you're there. Now, the other fear that we have is the market might evaporate and the seller's trying to get out before the market collapses, and that is a very strong possibility. It's possible that you're selling something and Walmart's planning on opening across the street. You don't know it yet. And when Walmart opens, this company is going to go down the tubes. And this is something that we would uncover in our due diligence, but of course it is not totally impossible. But the number one reason that we don't buy a business is we think the sales numbers are not going to be there. The business is telling us that he's doing $1 million in sales, and we don't know that 40% of that is because his cousin is doing business with us and with the company. As soon as the company sells, cousin's going to go somewhere else, and so things like that are possible. That's one of the reasons in our due diligence we actually go out and talk to the top 5 or 10 customers, and we talk to the 5 or 10 employees because we want to know what's the possibility this is going to continue. Well, I'm going to give you a work form that's going to help you analyze whether you should be buy a particular business or roll it up or take on a new product line. And this is called the Lean Canvas, and you'll be able to download this today. You don't have to print this form. You can actually draw it on your wall if you'd like. And the Lean Canvas is a way for us to methodically look at what is going on in a business. In the top left corner, it says problem. Now, all businesses are designed to solve a specific problem for the customer. Remember, the purpose of a business is to sell a product for more money than it cost to deliver. But the bottom line to that sentence is nobody's buying a product if they don't have a problem. So what is the problem that you're trying to solve? And the second question is in the top right corner: who's going to buy the problem? Who's going to buy the solution? And so we want to fill out the top left and the top right corner, and this can just be notes that here's what I think happens, and a lot of these assumptions are going to change as you do more and more research. This is something that I will tell you we actually came up with. I'm going to show this to you. We actually started doing this, and we came up with multiple lean canvas boards and pasted them on the wall in the barn with the idea that we've got now a lean canvas for each of the businesses that we're looking at buying, and we've got a lean canvas on new products that we're thinking about doing. One of the new product lines at Lonesome Cowboy Training that we're considering doing is training on how to do crowdfunding. We've had two very close friends do crowdfunding at high levels of success. And so we're actually thinking of doing a $27 a month training class on how to get on Kickstarter and make it work. So we're doing this lean process right now on that product line extension. This, I have no idea whether it's going to work out or not, but I do want to I'm going to send this to you so you can figure out the rest of this. I'm not going to read it to you, but let's take it to a real life example. The training company received a call, Lonesome Cowboy Publishing received a call from a business broker, and he told me that and we had been actually looking at this business briefly, and this is a CNA training school in Phoenix. Now remember, I was really hot on buying the EPA training school in Tucson. They've got a location in Phoenix as well, and they refused our offer. They refused all offers and said they wanted to go back to work until the company was worth $1 million. And our negotiations to do an earn-out to help them get to that $1 million, but give us the business now, have not been fruitful to date. Now that doesn't mean they won't be. It just means that I'm keeping the communication lines open. I'll probably have lunch with them once a month, and if they run into roadblocks on getting to that 1 million valuation, then they're probably going to be a lot more open to our discussions. Well, that's fine. Remember, we look at 100 deals and we do one. I wanted the training company, but here's another training company that comes up, and this company's only doing 100,000 in business, but it's netting 65,000. Now, a CNA training company is somebody that takes young women and young men, trains them to become a very basic certified nursing assistant. And this training school is up for sale at 0.75 times net. And so they're netting 65, they want 45, but the broker's telling me that she wants out immediately, and that tells me that it's walkaway money. That we could probably throw 10,000 down in cash, 10,000 more next year, maybe 20,000 in cash, and they'd get out of the company. And so either way, this is a good deal if I can make it a real company. Because right now, a company doing 100,000 in sales, that's just like a hobby. If I don't see how it can be jumped to $1 million, then I don't want to mess with it because it's just way too much work. So we took our lean canvas and started doing some research. And Travis did this for me. He went in and said, okay, what is the value of becoming a CNA? And the first value, and remember now this is from the CNA's point of view, is there any money in this? Well, what we discovered is that CNAs get paid extremely well in the Southwest. And we don't know why the pay is higher here, but in the Southwest, a CNA can make $30,000 to $35,000. Well, that means that these people learning how to be a basic nursing assistant can get a job at high pay. So we now know that in our lean solution, the problem is, how do I get into the big money? And we know that unemployment is high down here in the Southwest where we like to work. We like to work, we'll do deals in Vegas and Phoenix and San Diego and LA, and mostly that decision to do that zone is the fact that I can get on Southwest, and for $99 in 1 hour I can be in any of the major towns in the Southwest and work for the day and come home for $99. So we're looking at this and say, there's a value here in this marketplace. Maybe this CNA business is good. How do we figure out what the answers are? And so we came up with some questions. What's the market for our product? And the market for the product is not selling the student. The market is the person that's going to pay the student because they're driving the students. We've got a lot of people who want to hire CNAs and they're willing to pay $30,000 for someone that's been through 20 weeks of training. If I have customers for that, then I'm going to be able to get all the students I want. We can get students if we have a place to put them. The next question is, how many competitors do we have? And this was very easy to figure out. Travis came back and said there's 15 schools in Phoenix and 3 in Tucson. And interestingly, the market for the CNA is bigger in Tucson than it is in Phoenix, but Phoenix is a little bit bigger town. So we know it's being done. One of the sad things I saw the other night when I went to this Start a Business Using Lean Canvas meetup group, 25 people in the room, and 23 of them were there to learn how to create this new product that nobody's done before. And when it's my turn to talk, I'm looking at everybody and says, why would you want to create something that nobody's done? That makes you a pioneer, and all pioneers have arrows in their ass. Don't be a pioneer. Take a proven idea and move forward with this. But the whole point of the story was there's competitors, there's a market. So how much did they charge? We wanted to know that. What are they doing very, very well? Now, we don't have this information yet, but what I want to know is those 18 competitors in the state, what are they doing that's knocking it out of the ballpark? And that's going to require some work on our part. And so are there failing students? Where are those failing students? Why did they fail? Failing means they couldn't get through class or they couldn't get a job. And where does the end customer want to see improvements? Now, this part is easy. We can call the HR department at the hospital or the nursing home or the prison, which hires lots of CNAs. We can call the HR person and ask them, what are you not getting from the 18 competitors in Arizona? And we'll get a ton of information on how to create something unique. So now we'll be able to go back to our lean canvas and write down the problems that are faced in this CNA business, and then we'll be able to go over and start talking about customer segments. And by putting all this on a big board, writing it down, we don't have to do it all at once. When we think of something, we follow it up, we make the notes on the board. This is the kind of thing that happens on inspiration, and you cannot do inspiration on a schedule. It just happens. That's why we wake up in the middle of the night and write notes down. I mean, the first step customer is almost impossible to segment because you got old white guys, young Chinese girls, Filipinos, fat girls, skinny girls. I mean, this is clear across the board, so segmenting the student is practically an impossibility. So I'm going to have to find some way to figure out how to keep those schools full. Of course, I've already told you, I think the easiest way to keep those schools full is to make sure that I've got the end result covered, that when they know that if they give me $1,000 to come to my school, and that when they get done with my school, they're going to walk right into a $30,000 job. If I've got that problem solved, then which is the very first step in my lean canvas, if I've got that problem solved, these people are going to line up to get in. But I need some other unique things. And here's where this thing really got to be fun. What's our unfair advantage? Now, I never go into a business where I cannot create an unfair advantage. And I know this, whatever it's going to be, I know this before I start. And so when we did the paperless overnight for accountants, I knew that we had a very unique workflow system and it was going to drop the cost of daily bookkeeping in an accounting office by half. And I knew that our unique unfair advantage was that I had uh, busloads of college students willing to work 2 hours a day from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. in Bangalore, India, actually reading every single piece of paper by hand. I had a very unique, unfair advantage over anyone else going into workflow or document management. And that proved to be exciting enough to really make something happen. Well, what's my unfair advantage if I've got these kids coming out of school or these adults and they're looking to go into the home healthcare business? And we came up with a couple on how it would actually help Wonderful Life. So we're going to have some cross benefit here, and I'm going to tell you how we came up with this and how you can come up with these things in your own business. Now, one of the things that Wonderful Life needs is a steady flow of CNAs, because this is a business where customers are easier to come by than the labor to deliver the service. And so if we owned this school, we would have an unfair advantage over our competitors because we would pick and choose the very best students and run them right into our company first and foremost. But then we came up with another really unusual angle. I need something to do PR. You'll remember the 3 easiest ways to get business is to actually do personal sales calls and on your clients and on referral sources. The second easiest way is to do joint venture marketing. And we've talked about joint venture marketing in the past. There are 800 other people who sell to seniors in Arizona. They may be anything from wheelchair rental places to insurance agents. There are 800. We're in a mad dash to go to those 800. Say if you send us a referral, we'll give you $1 an hour for every for every hour of billing we do. We now have some 20, 30 people signed up on the $1 an hour program. Our biggest checks we're sending out are still between $100 and $500 a month. So we haven't hit the jackpot yet on the $1 program. We've had it in place now for about 4 or 5 months, but we're certainly hoping that sometime in 2014 we can start showing off $1,000 checks. And this is just a little money on the side. So that's our joint venture, which is the second biggest way to get business, our joint venture vested interest that people will help us build our business. Then the third thing is to become famous in your market, the premier deliverer of services. Well, to get there, I need a PR angle. One of the PR things we had brought up in our company meetings, and we have a meeting once a week going over our marketing programs with our interns and the owners and partners. And I said, why don't we do this? Let's have one of our people pick up seniors at the hospital who cannot get home. They don't have anyone to bring them home. They're either live alone or their kids are out of town or something, but they can't get home when they're discharged from the hospital. Now, the reason for that is because the most valuable person on the planet in the senior business is the discharge planner at the hospital. They know exactly who needs very intensive care when they leave the hospital. I said, let's start a service. And we'll actually volunteer 2 hours of service. We'll come over, pick you up at the hospital, take you home, make you some soup, tuck you into bed, and hopefully your daughter, your son are home by 6 o'clock. But you'll be okay, and we'll do this for free. My staff and my senior staff and my partner hated the idea, because all they saw was we were just going to become a taxi cab service and that we're going to end up doing a lot of work for free and it would never convert to clients. My idea is that we were going to get a lot of public relations because I was going to be able to milk this in front of the TV cameras on the local TV stations and in the newspaper all the time with a new story every week. Here's how we help Bob. Here's how we help Sally. Here's how we help Carl. So I knew we'd have new stories constantly coming through to pump the PR. But everyone else was really against it because it was going to be extremely high cost. The best we could figure out was going to run us about $75 per visit. And if we didn't convert at least 1 out of 12 of those visits into a high paying long term client, it was a dead end. And then all of a sudden, Travis came to me and says, well, wait a minute. I did some research, and everybody that becomes a CNA has got to put over 50% of their hours have to be volunteer services for seniors. And he said, why don't we just use these people to do this work of the free gift hours, and they'll get us the marketplace impact. And when they're out there, they'll say, I'm here as a representative of the school, and we're part of a Wonderful Life Home Health Care. They actually paid my gas to come out here and help you. So now instead of our cost being 75, it's going to be $10 to send someone out because they're volunteering and they have to do this work to get their CNA certification anyway. So this came from sitting down and thinking, using the critical thinking steps. What do people buy before they buy this service? This is something you should have on the wall all the time. What do my customers buy while they're buying from me? What else are they buying? So if they're coming to me and they're buying construction, a remodeling project on their house, what else are they buying? And they might be buying windows, they might be buying insurance, but there are other things they're buying while they're buying from me. And then what do they buy after me? And of course, this is what we're doing here. We're figuring out people are in care from a doctor or from a plastic surgeon or from a hospital. They're in care. What do they have to have after that? And if we can provide a free sample for that after, then we've got a leg in to these customers. So then that brings us to the most important square in our lean canvas possible. Where's the money? If we're going to go out and buy this company, we're certainly not going to buy a company doing $100,000 in revenue with the idea that that's where we're going to keep it. This company's got to grow tenfold or it's not worth messing with, and probably should grow to 2 or 3 million, or it's just not worth bothering with. I don't want a business that makes $65,000 a year. So where's the revenue? Of course, the number one revenue stream is let's get more students paying tuition. But then something no one ever thought about, and this comes into the who buys after they buy. What about the HR department at the hospital and the prison and the nursing home and the assisted living centers? To do the work to get a new employee on average in this business has an HR cost of around $2,500. And for some people, it's much higher. So there's a value to find the quality CNA that the HR department needs. And I know you keep hearing me use prisons, but for some reason in the Southwest, all the prisons have lots of CNAs on staff, and they're the highest paying people. They're the best customer out there. Now, can we go to this Department of Human Resources and say, I will do your pre-screening for you. Tell me what kind of employee you need to have, and those are the people that I'll sell my class to. And the reason if you will be my end user, now I'm not going to have any trouble getting the best student or the exact perfect student to come in to work for us, because I'm going to segment my market now, not based on what this group looks like, but what this group needs. And this is from our critical thinking skill. And so this is my unique advantage in the marketplace. Nobody else is doing this. But what if I went to this HR department and said, every time I bring you a super qualified employee, I want a $2,000 finder's fee. It's costing you $2,500 to do the work. I'll do it for $2,000. Now I'm just throwing these numbers out. We don't know what it would work out to, but what if every one of these people, not only did I get $1,000 from the student, but on the back end I picked up another $2,000 from the HR department. Now we figured this out because we took this great big board and started writing down where are all the opportunities. Now the other reason that we're excited about this is because then we've realized that the opportunities, the real opportunities, are placing the highly skilled specific segmented CNA into some sort of a government office or corporation. The minute we said corporation, we realized the hospital companies have hospitals in every single major market in the Southwest. And the prison management companies have contracts in every single major market in the Southwest. And the chain healthcare nursing homes have locations in every single market. Now, what does that tell me? That it is many people that want to expand to the next city, they go there with the ridiculously idiotic idea that I'm going to expand over there and start from scratch and do organic growth. Well, that's a path to bankruptcy. Wouldn't it be better if I went to the corporations that have locations all over the Southwest and said, I can deliver CNAs in each of these towns. As soon as they say I'll take them, I open a school. Because then I can rapidly expand across the Southwest, not do 100,000 a year, but do 1 million a year. Maybe because we're getting back in money, all of a sudden we're at 2 million or 2.5 million a year, and this little business could become great. Now that thinking came because we started using this lean canvas. It could be used for buying a company, bringing in a new product line, starting a new product line, or expanding by, of course, doing your roll-ups. And just a big room and put them on the board, and just whenever you get inspired, make a note, and I think you're going to have a lot more clarity and a lot more comfort on moving forward and buying, fixing, and selling businesses. I appreciate you being on today. You'll be able to go to your Customer Hub page, get this video clip, and get the instruction sets with all the details on using the lean canvas to take all this information all this due diligence, all these financials, and putting them into one great big visual so that you can use your intuition and make the right decision to create wealth. Okay, thank you, everybody. I will talk to you next week. Bye now.